Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a very special edition of the DrunkNerds podcast. I'm host, as always. I'm Tyler, and join me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Oh man, I'm doing okay. This past week's been fun because of the whole vacation stuff. But on top of that, though, I mean, I've had some chance to play some video games, but I am feeling good at this moment. So, Tyler, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Gables doesn't know what we're doing here on this show. We're
Hmm.
doing a fun little. This is a fun little bonus thing here. We're banking this early. We're banking the, at this time right now. It's like mid-November, but when you're seeing this, if everything goes as planned, it is the Christmas is just over. Happy holidays, everybody out there. Happy Boxing
Mm.
Day to our Canadian listeners out there and watchers. Um, but yeah, happy Hanukkah to everybody else out there too. I don't know the days. I'm sorry. I know there's 8 of them. So, but so Gables has no idea what we're doing, and I'm excited about this one. I think he has a little bit of an idea, but not 100% sure what the idea is. Um, but Gables, we're gonna jump into
Mm.
this here. Let me give me a second here. I'm gonna do a little share screen with you. The people. So this is an episode here that I recommend people. If you're listening to this, that's fine. But if you want, if you want a better, this might be better as a visual one, but I will tell you everything that's happening. So Gables,
Okay.
let me get
Yeah.
this over here. Bam. All right, we are good to go. Everything's good on my end. All right, Gables, you don't know what's happening, but now you
No.
do. We're doing. That's right. We're ranking the Zelda games, baby. Let's go. All right. I'm just gonna hit the refresh a bunch of times. Bam, 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 bam. All right. So Gables. So people don't remember. I made Gables not too long ago rank all the Mario games, and now we're gonna make him rank all the Zelda games. So it's a little fun thing. I'm just gonna keep that refresh. Let's see what happens here. We're gonna a
Can
couple
I
more times.
just say
Yeah.
before we begin, when you told me that we're going to be doing this and stuff, I could think of one of two things that it could have been. And I kind of figured you would be coming with Zelda stuff sooner or later.
Oh yeah. Oh Gables, there's more. There's more. Don't worry. I found more. So this is
Oh
gonna keep
wow.
happening. Well,
Yay.
we're just gonna, this is a fun little thing we're doing. Normally we do this as like a fun little extra episode. Oop, I hit my mic. I'm so excited about this. I hit my mic. Normally this is like a fun thing we do, like just kind of throw in every now and again. But I figure, like I said, like Gables and I, we rarely take weeks off. We usually only get 2, maybe 3 weeks off a year, but we still like to have an episode out every
Yeah.
week. So this is gonna be a nice little way that Gables and I can enjoy the holidays, enjoy a little bit of a break. And like I said, as if assuming everything goes to plan here. But yeah, so Gables, I'm gonna go ahead and refresh one more time. Bam.
Yep.
All right. First off, for people, the very first we have the Adventures of Link, Zelda 2, versus the GameCube's Four Swords Adventures, and I believe this is not the one that's tied into the GBA. This is the GameCube version.
Okay. So if I really had to choose between these two, I'd go with the Adventures of Link on this
Okay.
one, and only because I know it's more of a straight cut like RPG as opposed to say the original. But at the same time, when it comes to Ford Swords Adventures, you really have to enjoy this with with three other people, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you have the little blurb and stuff where you can connect, like say with that GBA GameCube link cable stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that
But
part. Yeah.
one thing I could say though is like I never had a chance really to try that aspect of Four Swords Adventures. I mean, I know the GameCube game is kind of hard to find, but I kind of like the challenge of the Adventure of Link. I mean, I've tried playing it a couple different times. It is definitely harder than say the original, but I'm gonna go with Adventure of Link.
All right. Next up here, we have Zelda Oracle of Ages versus Link's Awakening.
Oh, here we go.
A couple strong
It's
Game Boy
so
ones.
funny because both of these are kind of like a similar style of like Zelda game, but at the same time, it's like Oracle of Ages ties in with seasons and stuff, and they all interconnect with one another. Link's Awakening, though, I mean, that's a that is definitely a classic. I do like aspects of that. I'm gonna go Link's Awakening.
All right, all right. Next up here, ooh, a new one: Echoes of Wisdom versus Phantom Hourglass.
Echoes of Wisdom. Next
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. I don't know if we've ever had the discussion on the DS versions of the. We've been doing this for over 11 years now. I don't think we've ever had the discussion of our thoughts on the DS ones, and I'm excited to get those now. I think that we're finally. I think we got a general idea of what he thinks of them. All right,
Well,
next up here, the
okay,
original
let's go with this.
Zelda on NES versus Minish Cap.
Okay, so we got two fantastic Zelda games that I
Mm-hmm.
have played here. For the Minish Cap, I do like the styling of it. I do love the bits of the gameplay. I mean, Enzlo, I think his name was Eslo. Yeah, that little
Little
that
dude in
little
your head.
bird-like thing with a cap and
Yeah.
stuff. I do like his interactions with Link throughout the stuff. I do like the whole play in terms of like getting big or getting smaller and stuff to try to navigate and do a bunch of different puzzles. But if I had to choose between the original and the Minish Cap, I like the original Legend of Zelda more. This is a game where I've been trying off and on for like the past 20 years and stuff, and I didn't hunker down and beat this game up until like the at least a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
Absolutely loved it, because I closely akin the Legend of Zelda, that style, the original one, to like more with how Breath of the Wild and stuff eventually became like a fully realized version of the original Legend of Zelda. Because the explorational aspects, a lot of the different like places you can go through, you were just tossed into an open world so that way you can just investigate and see what you can do and like what secrets you can find. So I definitely liked the original more than Minish Cap.
Okay. All right. All right. I disagree, but okay. You son of a bitch. Minish Cap, man, that was a good game. I finally played it. Like I don't know, like oh man, it's actually a long, like 8 years ago on Wii U, and that game was fantastic. So, all right.
Fun fact though, the Minish Cap, if you try to get the Minish Cap now in the reuse market, the physical card of it, it is at least 80 to about $100 or something.
Jesus. Okay.
Along something like that crazy?
All right. Is it on NSO right now? As of
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
All
For
right.
those listening in, if you really want to try out, like, say, any of these Zelda games for the most part, the Game Boy ones, like Ocarina, Majora. Actually, I don't think Majora's on NSO Online. Is it? Yeah, it is.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
it is.
happy.
What am I saying?
Yeah.
A lot of these Zelda games are on NSO Online. If you pay for that or like the expansion of that, yeah, you can try these games out, and I recommend them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just play Minish Cap, and you'll understand. All right. Next up here, Twilight Princess versus Breath of the Wild.
Ooh. Whoa, so the launch game of the Wii versus the launch game here of the Switch.
Mhm. It's actually kind of interesting getting these right off the bat here because you got like the two that like both came like that came out on like that ended one and began the next console.
Absolutely. I did like a bunch of stuff in terms of like the Twilight Princess, though. The only aspects I didn't like about it was the motion controls stuff.
In the first 5 hours.
Yeah, that's just the thing, though. Like the first 5 hours or something like that, and that's just one of those things to where I know some people really love using the motion control stuff with the Wii,
Yeah.
but I felt like that was a hindrance for Twilight Princess, and that's why I absolutely loved that when it came out onto Wii U, that remastered and stuff, I could just use a regular controller. I can go and explore things how I want to do, and that's not to say that the port here for the Wii is bad by any means. I did like some of the aspects of what you could use with that Wii remote and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but comparing Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild, I mean, Breath of the Wild is a more realized version of the original Legend of Zelda. There was a bunch of fun stuff to go and discover. There's a bunch of fun stuff to go and explore, as opposed to, like, say, kind of condensed, sort of like certain areas that you can explore in Twilight Princess, unless you go through and unlock certain other things to explore other areas and stuff. I'm gonna go Breath of the Wild.
Okay. All right. All right. Next up here, Skyward Sword, the Wii version. I should probably click. I don't know if there's gonna be the remasters or I don't know like Link to the Past for Game Boy Advance is here. Oh no. So let me. Okay, never mind. I should probably read the titles here. So it's Skyward
Okay.
Sword on the Wii versus
Uh-huh.
the Game Boy Advance version of Four Swords.
Okay. The game. Huh. I've had a chance to actually play a little bit of Forward Swords and stuff on the Game Boy Advance.
You're one of three.
I know, I am one of three in this case in point. But I only played it for like a little bit in terms of that stuff. And when it comes to Skyward Sword, I mean, the Wii stuff, I did try a little bit of the Wii stuff. Oh, God. This is a hard one because I've had a chance to play both of these, but I never did finish either or. for
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah.
So it's like pick your poison with this one. And quite honestly, I want to go with like Four Swords.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Okay. All right. Next up, Gables. This is a tough one here. Ocarina of Time for the 64, or Spirit Tracks for DS.
Ocarina of Time, let's go.
You don't want to think about it?
No.
Okay. Another tough one, Gables. Getting harder. Zelda Triforce Heroes versus Zelda Majora's Mask for the N64.
Well, unfortunately, I never had a chance to really play Triforce Hero, so I'm gonna go Majora's Mask.
Gables, is it unfortunate that you didn't play that game?
I know how some people don't like that game and stuff, but
Some,
plenty of people don't like that game. It's
most,
probably one of the worst Zeldas.
all don't like that game. Dude, that game was like so bad that like my best friend Justin, who uh like getting him this, like I feel like I can waterboard him and he still wouldn't say something bad about Nintendo. Um like I that game was so bad that even he was like, yeah, that game's not good. So that says
Yeah.
something. But all right, so you said you like Triforce Heroes more, right?
No, 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 no. Oh no, we're not doing that.
All right. Next up,
Oh wow,
ooh,
that is
Zel-
a juicy one.
yeah. So Link Between Worlds versus Tears of the Kingdom.
So basically, the sequel to A Link to the Past and a
Hmm.
sequel to Breath of the Wild
Yeah,
going head to head.
maybe the two greatest sequels ever to Zelda games.
Two of the greatest. Okay, so these are definitely good sequels to pre-existing Zelda games, though. Um,
I don't even know what I would say to this one. I feel bad for you in this one, buddy.
oh my God, yeah, dude. It's like I love what the Tears of the Kingdom did in terms of improving on some aspects of Breath of the Wild. Granted, it took sort of like, well, actually, no, it didn't really take some of like what I was actually thinking of initially. I'll take that one back, but I do like the improvements, some of the improvements that Tears of the Kingdom did over Breath of the Wild in terms of like some of the crafting stuff, some of the exploration stuff. Obviously, the whole aspects of manipulating, creating your own things was actually pretty fun. Plus, exploring like the skies and everything else, and some of the
Mm.
boss fights. You could really go through and like try different ways of actually defeating certain bosses. I remember the one. I remember the one where like you and I were playing it around the same time and stuff, and we beat the first boss like a completely different way than one
Yeah,
another.
yeah. I just flew through the ice, and you like. I remember like telling multiple. I've told multiple friends about that, and they're like, "What? I shot with arrows." I was like, "I just dove through it." Yeah, yeah. God, that game is so good.
But when it comes to the Link to the Past and stuff, I mean, I did like the gimmick in terms of like going like to the foreground, the background, and stuff, and terraining like across the skies and stuff. What's interesting though for that one that I couldn't really get a grasp of and stuff is like you did get to rent certain items and stuff from
Yeah,
the store keep and stuff to use in certain areas of that. I kind of felt that sort of limited certain stuff because it was kind of different than what would happen traditionally in a Zelda game, to where you go to a different dungeon, you find a certain item, you use the gimmick in terms of that dungeon and stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like you get to the boss, you beat the boss, and then you get a piece of the Triforce or a heart piece or whatever the hell, and then you kind of rinse repeat. I could get what they were trying to do because you don't want to say be so formulaic and going, okay, got to do this spot first, then I go that one second, and this and
mm.
that. They gave you a choice to what thing you wanted to really transverse first, so it kind of throws back to the original. But I kind of felt like, in a way, that even though it's a great game, oh my gosh, I really kind of feel like I'll go with Tears of the Kingdom.
All right, all right. Next up here, Wind Waker for the
Hmm.
GameCube. So this is the GameCube version with you got to go collect all the shard. You got to go find all the shards of the Triforce in the ocean. Remember that. Versus
Yes.
the Oracle of Seasons.
You know what? When it comes to both of these games, I mean, they're obviously fantastic and stuff. I am going to go ahead and pick the Wind Waker because I got a huge amount of nostalgia for that game.
Yeah,
The pre-order bonus of you getting
Master Quest.
that Zelda collection,
Mhm.
Master Quest and Ocarina of Time for GameCube, plus the whole previews and stuff for all the other games that we've released in the GameCube. And what's hilarious is like during the time that release, it was like my freshman year of high school, and it was so awesome. Like getting off of school, getting getting picked up and stuff. My parents or something. I go directly to the Walmart that I pre-ordered it and stuff. I finally bought it. This is back when you could actually pre-order certain games at Walmart
Yeah. Yeah.
and put them on layaway, and that's how I got some of my games that way. Like say Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, I got it through layaway that way, and the old Walmart I used to go to.
Yeah. I never thought. Can you not go to a brick and mortar Walmart and pre-order a game now?
No, you can't.
Oh, okay. I didn't
Not
know
that
that.
I'm aware of,
Yeah, I don't.
anyway. And
I haven't bought
if
one there in a long
if
time.
I'm wrong about that, I mean, obviously somebody chime in with it, but
Yeah.
it's yeah, pre-orders of stuff for like Walmart. I think they stopped doing that a long while ago. The last
Yeah.
time I could think of was well, actually, I think it's like for like a console launch of like say the Wii or the
Yeah.
Wii U.
Yeah. Trying to think. I mean, obviously you can go on the websites and pre-order stuff, but yeah, like I wonder. I don't even know if you could have pre. I wonder if you could have pre-ordered like probably consoles are different, but yeah, game wise, I guess I wouldn't even know.
That's a good question, Tyler. I probably would have to research that because I don't have the answer because
Right.
I've always thought it was something completely different.
Yeah.
But anyways, I picked the Wind Waker.
All right. All right. Before we move on, I'm gonna assume that there are like no remasters or ports here, and
Yeah.
so far we haven't seen any. And then also, I wonder if the CDI versions are going to be here. I kind of hope they are.
If it's every Zelda game, then I think we're going to be in for a treat.
Yeah, I can't wait till we get to the DS games versus the CDI games. All right, next up here, the GameCube version, Four Swords Adventure versus A Link to the Past.
Oh, this is no contest. I like A Link to the Past.
Okay, all right. I haven't ever rented this Four Swords Adventure, but I remember liking it, but not loving it. All right, next up here, Link to the Past again versus Adventure of Link.
You know, as much as I do like the Adventure of Link and stuff, The Link to the Past is a phenomenal game. It's
Yeah,
pound for pound one of the best games for the Super Nintendo.
yeah.
And when it got ported onto the Game Boy Advance, it actually became probably one of the best Game Boy Advance games too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what's funny, you think about the Game Boy Advance. Some of the best games on the Game Boy Advance are just ports of the NES games, the Super Nintendo games.
Absolutely. And for good reason too, because that was the first time that they really became like portable in terms of that, obviously with some compromises with sound stuff. But man, yeah, if the list if listeners you've never played like Legend of Zelda Link to the Past and like say you're in your 20s or whatsoever and you didn't really weren't around or something to play it, Link to the Past is better than about like more than half the games released today.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's one of the greatest games of all time. So it's one of those games that holds up forever. So, all right.
Absolutely.
So you said Adventure of Link, right?
No.
Oh, all right. Another tough one, Gables. Phantom Hourglass versus Oracle of Ages.
We're gonna go Oracle of Ages.
All right, Gables, I want like now. I know you like to make fun of me a lot, and you constantly insult me. Um, I want you to remember I control the buttons, so you gotta be nice to me. So if you're
Okay.
mean to me, I will click the opposite.
Okay.
So at the end of your rankings, if I want to, I can make it Phantom Hourglass.
I know you could.
Yeah. All right. Next up here. Oh, Oracle of Ages versus Echoes of Wisdom.
Hmm. You know what? Oracle of Ages is definitely a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Echoes of Wisdom definitely has its fun in terms of its gimmick stuff, and I did like a lot of the stuff I was doing in terms of getting around during terrains and stuff. But after a while of playing Echoes of Wisdom, it just kind of felt kind of a bit repetitive because I was using the same three or four different like items in order to do the transverse stuff
Yeah.
or even to like fight different enemies and stuff. And that's kind of like, even though Echoes of Wisdom is a great game, mind you, I mean, it's not terrible by any means. The solutions for different puzzles and for different ways you can get to certain places can be pretty much broken down into like maybe three or four different items, and that's about it.
Yeah. Just make
And some
beds.
of the upgrades are like a little bit incremental better for the upgrade stuff as compared to say like Oracle of Ages and stuff. This is more of a traditional Legend of Zelda game. You do have like more options in terms of what you can do. It's pretty much like an evolved form of like Link's Awakening and stuff, but I'm gonna go Oracle of Ages.
All right. Next up here. Ooh, Twilight Princess versus the Minish Cap.
Wow, dude. So this is definitely the generation where I did play both of these games. This may
Man,
be a controversial thing, but I'm gonna say the Minish Cap.
I, yeah. I mean, what sucks is like the Twilight Princess is such a fantastic game, but like
Yes,
it is hard. You can't talk about that game without talking about that beginning. And I know people are going to defend it and they're going to get past it, but man, it is. It's just
it's long.
it's long and it's just not fun.
And there's a reason why that I don't return back really to Twilight Princess all that much is because that beginning portion you literally have to take like about a couple of hours just to get into it, to where opposed if you're
Yeah.
playing a game like Breath of the Wild or Ocarina of Time or even like some of the other ones, say like with Minish Cap, you are pretty much immediately thrown into the action, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not having to like have an all, you can do that within like 10 or 20 minutes, as opposed to taking about a couple hours just to get things started because of the story and everything
Yeah.
else setting itself into motion.
You go fishing first. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
God, it sucks too because like Twilight Princess is probably like if you cut off that first like 5 hours, you like you can if you find a way to like knock it down to like 2 hours or something,
Yeah.
or even an hour, like it's probably what like considered one of the greatest of all time. But man, yeah, that it just hurts. I remember even playing it on Wii U, trying to replay it on Wii U years ago, and I was just like, I got like 3 hours of this. I'm like, I don't want to do this. So
And that's a shame. It's a
yeah,
fantastic game.
yeah, yeah. All right, next up here, Minish Cap versus Breath of the Wild.
I'm sorry, Tyler, but I got to go Breath of the Wild on this one.
Yeah, I honestly, oh man, I don't. I think I might do Minish Cap, but I don't blame you. All right, next up, ooh, Zelda, the original Zelda versus Breath of the Wild. Honestly, you can argue that Breath of the Wild is just a remake of Zelda.
Absolutely, you could. This it's funny because it's like you have the original and you have the fully realized version of the original game, kind of like in modern terms. So it's like if, say, Breath of the Wild, if this was the first Zelda game like Breath of the Wild and stuff like that, I think it would kind of have the same impact as, like, say, when the original released back when, like in the mid '80s,
Yeah.
towards, oh god, I get to explore every little thing, every little crevice or something like that, fight all these different monsters, trying to learn how to go through and solve these different puzzles. Oh my gosh. I don't have really as much nostalgic tie-ins and stuff with the original Legend of Zelda as opposed to, like, say, what I have with some other Zelda games on this list. But and like I said, if it weren't for the fact that I finished The Legend of Zelda like years later, the original stuff, it would probably have a little bit more impact on what I would place it and stuff. But I do like Breath of the Wild. Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that.
All right. Next up here, Spirit Tracks versus Skyward Sword.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just get into this here a little bit.
Oh, we're doing it. Okay.
So the DS games for, like, say, the Zelda stuff, there's pretty much a reasoning why I hardly ever like talk about them in terms of, like, say, Zelda game stuff, is because it's the first time I've ever played either, like, say, a Zelda game to where I spent like an hour and then I just completely stopped and never went back to, because the barrier of entry to it. The DS, with all of the stuff that it had going at the time, with the gimmick with the stylus and everything else, and then marking the map and everything else, it's not a bad concept. And in theory, it would be fun to keep track of your adventure and like do all this other stuff, mark on the map where you need to go and this stuff. But when you get into it and start playing it and try to control Link with a little stylus going here and there, it becomes a chore.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely becomes a chore, because instead of using traditional D-pad or use an analog stick or something to move Link around and then just do what you would normally do in a Zelda game, you're pretty much gimped by the whole stylus aspects of it. And so part of the reason why is, like, I don't really feel compelled to go back to some of these DS games despite still owning these, like Phantom Hourglass and like Spirit Tracks and stuff, is because it's always that inkling in the back of my head. It's like, you know what? It's like someday I will get to playing those games, like maybe a little bit more than what I could have done. But at the same time, I always stop myself. I'm like, no, 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 no. There's better games out there. So it's like I'm going with Skyward Sword.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like you said, like it's like the same thing with like Metroid Prime Hunters and stuff. Especially like someone like me that's like left-handed. Like it just
Mm,
those type of games like were completely broken for me. I know a lot of people like defend Spirit Tracks more so than
I
Fame
get it.
Hourglass, but I don't know. Yeah, those games were just bad. All right, next up, ooh, Skyward Sword versus Ocarina of Time.
Okay, so in defense of Skyward Sword and stuff, I understand what they were going with. Canonically, this is supposed to be the first Legend of Zelda
Mm,
game inside of their timeline stuff. So a lot of things get introduced that would later like go on and like explain the reasoning why certain things are in the future Zelda games and this and that and stuff. On the other hand, stuff the Motion Control Plus that was which like with Skyward Sword and you having to go through and place like a sword like literally your controller up over your head like this in order to try to charge things and this and that. It made it more awkward than what it initially could have been. Now, granted, the story inside of Skyward Sword is a fantastic one.
mm,
It definitely has some issues in terms of like doing a bunch of resource management in terms of like crafting certain things or solving certain puzzles and stuff. But other than that, though, Ocarina of Time, this is my first Legend of Zelda game that I had a chance to play through. It does a fantastic job in terms of pacing, in my honest opinion. Obviously, this is the first 3D Zelda game, so there were a lot of things even before things became standardized that are a bit of issue stuff, like say the camera or something, or even some bit of the gameplay stuff can be a little wonky at times. But pound for pound, this is better dungeon structure, bearing the water temple, or even so, in terms of boss battles, I definitely love the boss battles inside of Ocarina of Time. It didn't matter whether I was facing off against Goma or facing off against like the Phantom Ganondorf or something that would appear, like the first Forest Temple, or even like getting like towards the end stuff, like the strange, like crazy obscure bosses like Bongo Bongo or like Volvagia and stuff like that, and like it's or yeah, Twin Rova, and all these other enemies now that are just coming to my head and stuff. It made that adventure more interesting and much more enjoyable because it didn't feel like I was just going through the motions of, okay, well, I got to go to set A and point B, like a typical RPG and stuff, and collect certain items in order to craft this one item and then spend 5 hours doing this repetitive task so that way I can progressively somewhat get to the next point. This was me on an adventure going from like exploring they're just exploring the overworld here of Hyrule Field, going to certain points, completing temples, earning various items. It's traditional Legend of Zelda. I understand that there's a lot of comparisons with this and Link to the Past. Honestly, if I had played A Link to the Past first and really, and loved and enjoyed that back then, I probably would be having a little bit more in terms of like confliction in terms of like with Ocarina of Time, but Ocarina of Time is better than Skyward Sword.
okay, I was a little iffy there. I'm like, I don't know what he's gonna pick here, so kind of let me hang in there. All right, next one. Ooh, Ocarina of Time versus the GBA version of Four Swords.
Okay, so we're gonna go Ocarina of Time.
Okay,
Spend a lot more time playing that.
yeah. Next up here, Link Between Worlds versus Triforce Heroes, the Battle of the 3DS games.
Oh, one of these things is not like the other. Let's go ahead and link between worlds.
All right. Next up, ooh, Majora's Mask versus A Link Between Worlds.
You know what? This is a fun one because both of them were sequels to great Zelda games as well.
Mm-hmm.
Majora's Mask a year later after the release of Ocarina of Time, and then A Link Between Worlds over 10 plus years later after A Link to the Past. So it's like, obviously they have that, mind you, and you keep thinking of, like, say, the previous games here, but these games were amazing, both of them, in terms of how they did conduct themselves. Majora's Mask to some people can be a bit polarizing because of the 3 day aspect to it and having to revolve around the same 3 days in that gimmick. Granted, a lot of those issues were fixed in terms of like the 3DS
We are discussing
re-release,
the N64
but
version,
we're
though.
discussing
Mm-hmm.
the N64 version of this game. So, with that in mind, as far as like exploration stuff and what you need to do and this and that, this This one kind of felt like it had sort of like the complexity of stuff is say like when you want the adventure of Link and stuff to where you're trying to find what thing you have to do next and then like having to it was just something different out of the norm, really, of a standard Zelda game. Granted, you were still going through dungeons, you were still going and talking like certain familiar faces, obviously, and Zelda was there, but only like maybe the first 5 minutes or so of the game. And this is like you saving Termina from the existential dread of the moon crashing into Clock Town. And quite honestly, this is one of my favorite Zelda games because this is a darker Zelda game. This definitely is dark in tone. There are certain issues that actually confront like certain issues of like say of death, of like grieving, of like coming to terms and stuff. It's just like oh god, the five stages of grief. I think it's what I'm thinking about, or if there's
Yeah. Yeah.
something along those lines and stuff to where that's comparable to what's going on here, like in the story aspect of the Majora's Mask. In terms of the gameplay, I really did like the gameplay, and I thought that there were certain things I did like about it. There was one thing I did not like about it, and that was getting the couple's mask inside of it. Now, if here's the thing about me. If I love a game, I try to complete the game. I can humbly say that yes, I got every single mask in Majora's Mask on the N64, and the only way I could do that is getting a player's guide. My mom actually found a Prima's player's guide years ago when I first started playing Majora's Mask, and I kid you not, with Majora's Mask and with Ocarina of Time, I finished those games like right around the same time. It took me 4 years to beat Majora's no Ocarina of Time. It took me 2 years really to beat Majora's Mask because at that time I would play games right, but yet these type of games I still had to wrap my head around. But going to what I would pick, I'd still go with Majora's Mask over Link Between Worlds.
Okay. All right. Next up, Tears of the Kingdom versus Majora's Mask. It's only harder.
Yeah, it's gonna only get harder from here. And quite honestly, I don't think I would have had it any other way.
Yeah.
Because this is something I haven't really thought about too much. Hmm. I don't think Tears of the Kingdom doesn't have a lot of the gimmicks in terms of what kind of holds Majora's Mask back in some aspects. As far as exploration stuff, yeah, it definitely does a like Tears of the Kingdom does a good job in terms of where you want to go, what you want to explore. But as far as a lot of the setting and the story stuff, I kind of prefer Majora's Mask more.
That's fair.
Oh hell, I'm gonna go with Majora's Mask.
All right. All right. Wow. Okay. All right. Next up here, Oracle Seasons versus Four Swords Adventures.
I'll go Oracle of Seasons.
All right. All right. Oracle Seasons versus The Adventures of Link.
Oh boy, I'll go Oracle of Seasons.
Okay. All right. I say we might fight. All right. Next up here, Link to the Past versus Oracle of Seasons.
Oh, dude. Okay. Yeah, I would go with Link to the Past on this one because I do love the overall game and the overall quality of Link to the Past in comparison to more of a like more of a less like an upgraded thing of like Link's Awakening. But yeah, both of these games are fantastic, but I would go back to Link to the Past like in a heartbeat over say Oracle of Seasons.
All right. Next up here, Wind Waker versus Link to the Past.
Now here we go.
Oh boy.
We got two juggernaut games here going to be facing each other. Yeah, and watch. The next one's probably going to be the winner of this versus Ocarina of Time, which is going to really freaking break me.
Or worse, Spirit Track versus Phantom Hourglass.
You know that's going to happen soon.
It better happen.
Oh. Okay, so what I liked about the Wind Waker not just exploring around like in your boat and stuff, going to little every bits of the aisles and stuff. It was something completely different in terms of like an actual Zelda game of the way it looked in comparison to what people were thinking it was going to be based upon the GameCube tech demo. Because when that tech demo came out and you see Link fighting Ganondorf and stuff and try to demonstrate the visual fidelity of the GameCube, people instinctively thought that that was going to be the next graphical style for the next Zelda game. And the controversy after it was revealed to be cartoonish and cel shaded inside of nature, a lot of gamers were just up in arms about it back then because, well, this was a completely different than what they were viewing The Legend of Zelda as, you know? But it wasn't until like 10, maybe 15 years after that people was starting going coming back around to it. It's like, "Yeah, this was a fantastic game and a lot of the things hold up like years later, you know? And it's not just that. I mean, introduce certain characters that are now like kind of mainstays of the series, like Beetle, the merchant, like collecting a bunch of different beetles, turning it into them and stuff. It did have one weird thing about it to where you could connect the GBA
Oh yeah.
link cable to your Game Boy Advance SP, and that you can actually use it as a little miniature map
Yeah.
for like
Tingle.
with Tangle and
You
stuff like
drop
that.
bombs on people.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You play a little mini game of just dropping bombs on people. But oh god, yeah, going to different areas, going and exploring the different like the different temples in order to get those little like oh god, those stones and stuff that represented each of the goddesses or something like that.
Yeah.
Nehru and I think like Fiora and oh god, it's been so long now. But there was a bunch of new characters that were introduced to this that were based upon different like tribes and stuff, like of the Zelda races and this and that. But when I think about that journey and stuff, there were a lot of great moments. But when you go to the Link to the Past, you basically have you basically have sort of like the same like exploration type of feel, the same adventure type of feel, only magnified to like even greater with a Link to the Past because it's like even though you're going through a lot of these different dungeons and stuff and doing a lot of the different like puzzles, completing that, once you face off against all these different bosses, it didn't matter whether it was like Helmassar or like Blind the Thief or like oh god, even like Moldorm and stuff and some of the other like stuff like that, you know, it just made it much more epic because it didn't matter whether or not what the game looked like. It was just the feeling you got when you finally go and conquered that one dungeon, and all of a sudden you defeated the wizard and stuff, Aghanim or something like, or whatever the hell his name is, and then you face off against Ganon and stuff and do all this other stuff. It just felt much more epic. But I will say, for Wind Waker's sake, the end of that game, that final boss,
Yeah.
and for those that are listening to that right now, like listen to me talk about it, you can probably skip ahead like about a minute or so. Or not, I'm gonna give it 3 minutes actually. If you don't want to know about the ending to Wind Waker, you have about 3 minutes. So I know Tyler, you've beaten the game,
Oh yeah.
Wind Waker, correct?
Oh fuck yeah, man. Who you think you're talking
Dude,
to? Fuck you.
that final battle when you're having when you have Link and Zelda pretty much fighting against Ganondorf, and the scene where the fucking sword goes right through Ganondorf's head, I'm like, holy shit. That game was kind of whimsical and stuff. Obviously, there's some danger aspects, but seeing Ganondorf literally get impaled by a damn sword in the head and stuff, and there not being anything like that, like, that did not, that moment I never saw coming. And I'm just saying, like, holy crap, that is such a crazy ass moment and stuff that it's forever cemented is one of like the most what the fuck moments of a Zelda game I've ever seen. But even with that in mind, I'm still gonna go with A Link to the Past on this one.
All right. All right. Next up. Oh man, tough one here. The sequel to Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass versus Twilight Princess.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Twilight Princess on this one.
All
It may
right.
have been the Phantom Hourglass may have been the sequel to the Wind Waker, but the quality wasn't there as compared to the Wind Waker.
What if it was the first 5 hours of Twilight Princess versus Phantom Hourglass?
I think I'd much rather endure the first 5 hours of Twilight Princess as opposed to playing Phantom
That's
Hourglass.
fair. That's fair. All right. Next up here, Echoes of Wisdom versus Twilight Princess.
Hmm.
Ooh, I stumped him a little bit in this one.
Yeah, I have to really think about this one. I mean, I do know that it's like with Twilight Princess and stuff, the first part of the game was definitely a slog. It actually prevented me from wanting to play a little bit more of the game and stuff to that. Echoes of Wisdom, it's kind of like around the same time in terms of how much time I put into playing that game so far. I'm gonna go Twilight Princess.
All right. All right. Next up, Twilight Princess versus Oracle of Ages.
Oh Lord. Okay, controversial take.
Uh,
I'm gonna go Twilight Princess.
okay.
Why?
All right.
Why? Because it's a little bit more fleshed out than Oracle of Ages. I'm just saying.
All right. That's fair. Yeah, and Oracle Ages was kind of like one game, like was like half of a game too. So
It was two game. It was part of another supposed trilogy.
yeah,
Obviously
that
not
never
trilogy,
happened.
but three-parter.
Yeah.
Like Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, and there's supposed to be like a Oracle of Wisdom or whatsoever.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
It's based upon the three goddesses of like Hyrule and stuff. But the third one never came to fruition. But if you combine both Oracle of Seasons and Ages, you get that special dungeon and stuff that you got to go through.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, moving on here. Link's Awakening versus Twilight Princess.
Oh boy, Link's Awakening is an absolute classic too.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that. You all right there?
Yeah, I'm all right.
All right. I think Gables
I'm gonna go
broke down
Link's
for a second.
Awakening.
You're going Link's Awakening? All right.
Yep, I'm gonna go and do it.
The Game Boy, not even the DX version, the Game Boy version.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Just want to
I
make sure.
enjoyed my time more with Link's Awakening.
All right. Minish Cap versus Link's Awakening.
Oh, this is a harder one. Listeners, both of these games are fantastic. Minish Cap, even though it released like around almost 20 years ago now, give or take, it's still an amazing game. And
Mm-hmm.
then like for Link's Awakening, it was like what the early like close to the it's the early 90s. It was like
Yeah.
about 91 or so.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, it's at least over 30. So it's like even the age of these games releases aside and stuff, there's a reason why people go back and claim that these games are two of the best of their respective handhelds. And it's part of the reason why a lot of people think the Minish Cap is within that top 10 of the best Game Boy Advance games. I'm gonna go Minish Cap.
All right. All right. I think we're starting to. I think Gables is starting to break here. We're seeing the cracks. Oh boy, here we go. We have.
It may not be Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, but this is just as.
This is the next best thing here. We have Triforce Heroes versus Spirit Tracks.
Oh god, this is like choosing between like whether I want to get punched in the face or whether I want to get hit in the nuts.
Yeah.
Um, and quite honestly, it feels like you're getting both received when you're playing both of these games.
I remember what was crazy about Triforce Heroes is they actually put a demo out on 3DS for this thing. It's
Yeah.
like, man, who thought that was a good idea?
Oh god. Yeah, they probably regretted that too because so many people were like, "No, we're not buying this."
It's got to be the worst selling Zelda game of all time, like
It has to
mainline one.
be. It absolutely has to be. I mean, I cannot think of another Zelda game made by Nintendo, distributed by Nintendo. I'm specifically saying that because we're not even touching the Philips CDI stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, if it's not Triforce Heroes, then what the hell is it? That's the least selling Zelda game. Um, oh God, I'll say Spirit Tracks.
All right. All right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, okay. Next up here. Oh boy, Spirit Tracks versus Link Between Worlds.
We'll go Link Between Worlds.
All right. Skyward Sword versus Link Between Worlds.
Okay. Okay. Had to think about it, but I'll go Link Between
Yeah.
Worlds.
Come on. Come on.
It's going a little bit faster.
Yeah, I mean, why not? But like,
Oh,
yeah, think about it. Come on now. Four Swords, the GBA version versus Link Between Worlds.
I'll go Link Between Worlds. I didn't even have to really think about that one because even though I played a little bit of Four Swords on the Game Boy Advance, it truly wasn't as memorable as playing like say bits of like Links Between Worlds.
Yeah. Next up, oh, Link Between Worlds versus Ocarina of Time.
Oh boy. I do like the gimmick of Link Between Worlds, and it's a sequel to one of the best Zelda games of all time. At the same time, you have pretty much what a lot of people think is the best Zelda game of all time still.
Yeah.
Oh, Ocarina of Time.
All right. All right. Next, ooh, Ocarina of Time versus Tears of the Kingdom.
You know what? This may be the middle-aged part of me saying this, but back when I played Ocarina of Time, I didn't have to worry about a lot of the random bullshit of like open world stuff as it is with it today, you know. Not saying that Tears of the Kingdom is bad, which it's completely opposite. It's a great game. But at the same time, it's like it's a sequel to Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild, there's a reason why people love playing and then seeking out to buy that game for the Switch more so than they do Tears of the Kingdom is because the introduction to Breath of the Wild and everything else pretty much kind of just revitalized in terms of the Legend of Zelda's like appeal to the mass market stuff as opposed to say with games like say Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword or this or that, you know, there's Breath of the Wild was a lot more impactful, and actually, it
Yeah.
was probably the first time since really like Ocarina of Time, I want to say, or even like, can I do? Yeah, ever since like say Ocarina of Time to where it was that sort of like massive in terms of appeal and like success and stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do love Tears in the Kingdom and its gameplay. I do like aspects of like collecting the teardrops and this and that, you know. But there are definitely portions of that game I feel is a little bit more bloated than what it should be. But with Ocarina of Time, even though there were some like terrible decisions that made in some sort of like terraining of like traveling through certain dungeons. I'm speaking about the water temple and specifics,
Yeah.
the camera stuff, obviously because Nintendo didn't go with a dual analog stick standard
Yeah.
for its system until
There was a C
pretty
stick.
much like the Wii U.
Yeah.
There was a C stick, but it was not used like a modern damn thing like the Xbox was for Halo, for God's sake. But the only game that really took advantage of like a traditional sort of twin stick sort of like first, controlling of the camera that we know today was like certain third party releases, like say with Metal Arms, glitch in the system, that actually has modernized controls of it. It feels fucking freaky playing that today because that was like over 20 years ago that they had that. But that's another story, another tangent aside. For this pick right here, I'm gonna go Ocarina of Time.
All right. Oh boy, Majora's Mask versus Ocarina of Time.
I was afraid this was gonna happen. It was inevitable. You know, it's funny enough. I kind of go through this sort of battle in my mind once in a long while, and then eventually I just kind of decide, okay, well, I'm going to continue back to this another time. And
Yeah.
now here we are.
Yeah. It's like I'm not like why am I doing this? I've never got to do this until some asshole on the internet makes me do this.
Oh my gosh. I kind of find it funny that I absolutely adore and love both of these games, even though they came out like a year apart from each other. Which is so crazy because that bet with Miyamoto and Aonuma, seeing what he could do within a year because of that whole Ura Zelda stuff that was supposed to come out in the N64 DD, which for listeners, what that is, it was basically an add-on to the N64 that never came out of Japan, and you were supposed to have games on floppy disks inserted into that in like the late 90s, which at that time people were more had compact disk drives for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
So that's even another example of Nintendo being behind the times, even as far back as then. But when it comes to both of these Zelda games, obviously Ocarina of Time came before, and then the sequel to Ocarina of Time is Majora's Mask. It's sort of like Majora's Mask in a way. It sort of feels like DLC, sort of, because there are aspects of it to where it is a continuation from the same Link that you play as in Ocarina of Time, only it's sort of like a filler arc. Say, I know it's kind of crazy to think about it. So, say, like, for example, if you're watching your favorite anime and you're going through and you're looking at your favorite story, going through the story as it's supposed to be, and all of a sudden, after one arc ends, you get a filler arc into the next big thing,
Yeah.
you know? In some aspects, Majora's Mask feels like the same, kind of like the same thing. Only there are a rare time, there is rare times where the filler arc can be even better than some of the arcs of the main series of like a specific show or whatsoever. The only example I can really think of, though, and it's not really a good example, though, was like in, say, Yu-Gi-Oh, the regular series or something like that. I would actually think that the Seal of Orichalcos, that whole arc and stuff like that, as opposed to some. Well, I actually think that arc is kind of better than what the last arc was for that original dub, which is supposed to tie in the rest of that series.
Yeah.
But that's just something a little bit separate. It definitely was better than, say, like the whole other portions of like filler arcs that before then. But that's another time, another thing, and has nothing to do with Zelda.
Yeah.
But
Eventually, I'll make you rank the arcs of Yu-Gi-Oh, but not today.
oh, I'm sure you're keeping a list somewhere, either on a computer or on your phone or something. Okay, let's go through the whole list of torture things that we can have Gables go through and compare with.
Yeah.
Like, what's your favorite pro wrestler? Like, hey, this guy, or it's gonna be this guy,
Just
or
Gable.
yeah.
Eventually, we're gonna run out of categories. I'm gonna make you rank porn categories. So.
Oh, okay. Like I've said previously, this took me a long time to beat both of these games. I needed player's guides in order to go through it, because even though I was a teenager when I beat these games, I was like, what? This is back around 2003. Yeah. Yeah, literally my freshman year, I beat both of these games on the 64. And it's so funny to think about that retroactively. But I love Ocarina of Time and all the things that it does, a lot of the boss moments and stuff. I absolutely love Majora's Mask, even though it had the 3-day mechanic, even though it had like some crazy side quests that kind of brought the whole experience down in some aspects, even though it wasn't recommended. But the thing about it is, for Majora's Mask, you had to collect every single mask to get the true ending to that game. And that is something that I had to spend time and effort in order to track down a player's guide in order to do that. And, get the whole aspect of like what I can do after that, right?
Mm.
So it's like, in a way, I do love Majora's Mask in some aspects more than Ocarina of Time, but that's a lot of nostalgia that's talking about that. Ocarina of Time, I feel, is a better game than Majora's Mask, so I'm picking that.
All right. Next up here, oh boy, Phantom Hourglass. We have Phantom Hourglass versus Four Swords Adventures.
You know what? I think I'd much rather play a one play as one player or something like that inside of a multiplayer themed game as opposed to going through Phantom Hourglass. So I'm gonna go Four Swords Adventures.
Next up here, Echoes of Wisdom versus Four Swords Adventures.
Oh, oh my gosh. I am just going to be hearing a whole bunch about it, or no, reading a whole bunch about it in our comment section for this video when we do release it.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet you one of the people is going to be Justin's like, oh.
Yeah, Justin's gonna be really mad about the waterboarding comment later. So.
Oh, well, this one's going to be an easier one. Echoes of Wisdom, because I only
Okay.
played a little bit of Four Swords Adventures.
Okay. Next up, Adventures of Link versus Echoes of Wisdom.
Okay, to speak a little bit more of the Adventure of Link, that game is definitely harder than a traditional Zelda game. You have to level up, you have to at least upgrade your sword, like magic, or even your health. It's interesting when you go through certain towns in that game where almost every single town is named after like one of the sages inside of like where like the say that are play a role in Ocarina of Time, like Rauru and like Nabooru and like Rito and stuff like Princess Rito and stuff like that, and even
I am Air.
yeah, yeah, for something like that. But the game itself, though, because of the difficulty of it, it kind of still to this day has me coming back and forth whether I want to go through and finish like the game because there are definitely aspects of it to where I do like a challenge like this, but I rather would go with Echoes of Wisdom in this case is because even though it's not like say one of the harder Zelda games and stuff, it's more fun to play. So I'm gonna go Echoes of Wisdom.
All right. Oracle of Seasons rather, versus Echoes of Wisdom.
Hmm. So I know that Oracle of Seasons is a great game, but if you take the same styling and stuff for pretty much this is based Echoes of Wisdom sort of based upon like the same styling as say like Link's Awakening, like Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages in terms of that whole isometric sort of explorable style in some ways. It definitely has it definitely has much more interesting in terms of mechanics when you come to and like create certain items to try to figure out certain puzzles or like use enemies to fight other enemies and stuff and then figuring out some bits of portions of that. I'm gonna go ahead and say Echoes of Wisdom.
All right. Ooh. It is bound to happen. Oracle of Ages versus Oracle of Seasons.
God damn it. I like these games equally.
Well, not
but if I
today.
really had but if I really have to choose, I'm gonna go Oracle of Seasons.
All right. All right. Next up, Oracle of Seasons versus Twilight Princess.
This will be a controversial take, but I'll take Oracle of Seasons.
Okay. Wow. Okay, man. You really hated those first 5 hours. All right. Next up here, Link's Awakening versus Oracle of Seasons.
Oh, okay. So the Windfish versus all that other stuff that you have to do with Oracle of Seasons. Interesting.
Honestly,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I just after I've only played the Switch version of Link's Awakening, but that the
Uh-huh.
trade system pissed me off so bad. I would rank it below the DS games.
Wait, what?
I'd rank it bottom. Link's Awakening is the worst Zelda game, just out of pure rage.
Oh boy.
Fuck that
Well,
game.
I don't really necessarily feel exactly like that in terms of like Link's Awakening, but
You
um
know what, Gables? I'm putting Triforce Heroes above it. You want to keep talking shit? I'll put the CDI games above it. I'm not afraid to do it.
I'm gonna go Oracle of Seasons
All right,
over Link's Awakening.
all right. I feel like I swayed you on that, and I'm proud of myself. All right, next up here, Oracle of Seasons versus the Minish Cap. Voice broke on that one.
The Minish Cap.
Cap.
Anyway,
I hit puberty.
I'm in my mid 30s and I
Yeah,
hit puberty.
35. See what I mean, Gables? The worst insult anybody's ever said to me. Mid 30s, and you do this when I control the buttons.
Rock and roll, McDonald's. Anyway.
Don't you dare. Don't make fun of Bismarcky. Not Bismarcky. That's
Oh, with that being said, if I had to choose between Oracle of Seasons and the Minish Cap, I'm gonna go with the Minish Cap.
okay. All right. Minish Cap versus the Wind Waker. This is good. This is getting good. This is fun.
Oh boy, yeah, this is getting good here because it's the same art style, and that's not necessarily the same styling of Zelda game, mind you. One's 2D isometric sort of thing, and one's 3D, fully fleshed out and stuff. I'm gonna go with the Wind Waker because I did like that journey a
Yeah.
bit more.
Yeah. Best songs too. Next up here, Wind Waker versus the original Legends of Zelda. It's been a while since we've seen the original Legends of Zelda in
Oh
this.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know what? I recognize how important The Legend of Zelda is in terms of like it being the fundamental thing of getting people wanting to play that series and a lot of instrumental in terms of what certain open world games became later on because of the game industry. Because quintessentially, The Legend of Zelda is the pretty much the forefather to open world games. So I'm gonna go with the Wind Waker in
All
this
right.
case and scenario because I feel like it's a better game.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, next up here, Breath of the Wild versus the Wind Waker. This is fun. This is fun.
Oh, let me tell you something. I like the Wind Waker, but that final stretch for Breath of the Wild, when you're going exploring Ganon's castle and you're going through a whole bunch of the rigmarole stuff, and you do that final battle against Calamity Ganon and that other stuff, I absolutely loved that moment. It felt amazing finishing that game. I'm gonna go Breath of the Wild over
Okay.
Wind Waker.
All right. Next up, Link to the Past versus Breath of the Wild.
Oh boy. When I think of A Link to the Past, I think of a lot of the excellent adventures in terms of like going through different towns like Kakariko Village and stuff, and then going through like the different dungeons and stuff in the desert, like the swamp and this and that. But in terms of the whole round scale of stuff, Breath of the Wild, I feel even though some bit of the bosses and some of the dungeons really aren't as memorable and say with what Link to the Past has did, I did like the idea that I could take my time like exploring certain aspects of unlocking the different towers, facing off with these hard ass enemies that you literally have to like sneak around or some to make sure you avoid it like like detection from some of those big old like oversized octopus robot monsters pretty much and
Yeah,
like
the
try to
Guardians.
the guardians, dude. Every time you would encounter a guardian in that game, it would be like a special event because it's like this music starts playing out of nowhere. It's like, what is that? And
Yeah,
all of a sudden you just see this thing running towards you like, oh crap, no we're not.
yeah.
Or like what would happen to me is like I think I'm out of the area and all of a sudden the laser zip. Oh god dang it. So those moments those moments of like those thrilling moments are definitely memorable too. The cooking aspect of it I didn't really care too much about all that much. I mean, and that's because I'm so used to grabbing hearts and stuff and then like do those other stuff. There's definitely more RPG aspects inside of Breath of the Wild. But at the same time, it's like Legend of Zelda is definitely the Link to the Past here is definitely a massive improvement over the original. Oh god. Yeah, I'm gonna go Breath of the Wild.
Wow. All right. Not where I thought you were going. Okay.
I
Final,
get it.
final answer?
Yeah, that's a final answer.
You sound so sad right now. It's really
I
sad.
am because it's like I get it because it's like I should like A Link to the Past a bit more in terms of like what aspects of it, but when I think about what I'm enjoying now as a gamer and stuff, I like Breath of the Wild because of like the different like type of things I can do in that game, and there are just special moments you have to discover for yourself that you cannot really experience inside of the other Zelda games, barring Tears of the Kingdom, but
Yeah.
still.
All right. Next up here. Oh boy. Phantom Hourglass. Phantom Hourglass versus Triforce Heroes.
Too bad I can't get up a negative to both of these games.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like too bad it's not a skip option.
I mean, I could do remove. I didn't tell you that on purpose because I wanted you to make you pick between these games. So
Okay, okay. So I'll definitely just pick between these two games. This is the only time I'm probably gonna do this, so
oh
I'm gonna
no,
pick a Phantom Hourglass.
seriously? I
I
would.
don't like either of these games,
No, they're all
dude.
bad, but I'd rather play Triforce Heroes. I'd rather play Triforce Heroes by myself than with multiplayer than ever touch Phantom. I wouldn't. I would like, hey, you either gotta beat Triforce Heroes or I'm gonna just put Phantom Hourglass, a copy of that game, in the same room with you. Pick which one. I'm just gonna play through Triforce Heroes. That's how much I hate that game.
You make an excellent point, and upon further review, I'm gonna go ahead and say Triforce
All
Heroes.
right, let's go. I like how I'm swaying you. I'm like the bad guy. I'm over here giving like making
Well, you
Gables
bring up excellent
pick
points
shitty
though, because
games.
at least I could play this single player. I can actually play this single player wise without having to use touchscreen controls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is like ranking like Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks and Triforce Heroes. Is that like the Tyson versus like Logan Paul of our time for like Zelda games?
Oh
It's
God.
a timely joke as
It,
of recording this.
God, Tyson and like the freaking Jake Paul fight
Oh,
and
Jake
stuff.
Paul,
Oh,
yeah.
so you're telling me that it's fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. You telling me these guys got paid tens of millions of dollars to
Yeah,
stand in a ring for?
it's a typical type of thing where both these guys got paid and stuff, and it has to be a specific result because of one being a freaking multi-million dollar, you know,
Yeah.
streamer
Yeah.
extraordinaire stuff. So of course he's not gonna.
Yeah. One's 27,
It's
one's
gonna be
58.
fixed one side.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on, Gables. Triforce Heroes versus Four Swords Adventures. I feel like we're getting to the bottom here.
Oh, I'm still gonna pick Four Swords Adventures.
Spirit Tracks versus Four Swords Adventures.
Oh, Four Swords Adventures.
Skyward Sword versus Four Swords Adventures.
Skyward Sword.
All right, that's fair. Adventure of Link. It's throwing me off. Adventure of Link versus Skyward Sword.
You know, for as hard as Adventure of Link is, and how the opening for Skyward Sword is and stuff like that, I mean, the Wii Motion Plus stuff, definitely took me out of the
It sucks.
experience. I'm gonna go with Adventure of Link.
All right.
Controversial? Yes.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Four Swords for the GBA versus Adventures of Link. Adventure of Link. Goddamn.
I'll go the Adventure of Link.
Okay. Adventures of Link. Adventure of Link. God damn it. Versus A Link Between Worlds. It throws me off. I know it's right. Technically, Adventure of Link. It just sounds dumb. Okay. Adventure of Link versus A Link Between Worlds.
I'm gonna go with A Link Between Worlds. That's an easier one.
Okay. Link Between Worlds versus Echoes of Wisdom.
We're gonna go A Link Between Worlds.
All right. Oracle of Ages versus A Link Between Worlds.
I'm gonna say A Link Between Worlds.
All right. A Link Between Worlds versus Twilight Princess.
If it wasn't for the first 5 hours of Twilight Princess, I would think otherwise. So I'm gonna go Link Between Worlds.
It's crazy. Like Twilight Princess would be like one of the greatest games of all time. That first 5 hours of that, because it sucks. Like
yeah,
I remember more of that 5 hours because that just angered me so much than I do like the other like 40 hours I played at the fucking Twilight Princess.
exactly.
God.
Exactly the point.
All right, Link's Awakening versus A Link Between Worlds.
Link's Awakening is definitely a classic. I know that. Link
Classic
Between
piece of
Worlds,
shit.
though. The Link Between Worlds definitely is a great game. It definitely is a great game, and it's a sequel to one of the best Zelda games, and it's a fantastic one, too. So I'm going to go Link Between Worlds.
All right, all right. Oracle Seasons.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right. Oracle Seasons versus A Link Between Worlds.
I'll go Link Between Worlds again.
All right. Jesus, the Minish Cap versus Link Between Worlds. Man, we're getting to the nitty gritty here, but I feel like this is like the ninth one in a row.
Dude, this listeners out there and those watching too, it's like we did not plan this. All of a sudden, we have all in a row A Link Between Worlds.
It's completely randomized, so we can't do anything about it anyways. We wanted to.
Okay, do I want this? Do I want the red M&M or do I want the blue M&M? I don't know. Here, gotta weigh the options here.
It's like, do you want the pink Starburst or the yellow Starburst? They're both great, you know.
Exactly, they're both great, but at the same time, it just depends upon the flavor. I'm
like having a minor panic attack, just trying to decide for myself. I'm glad I don't have to say it out loud.
I'm gonna say Link Between Worlds.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm a little mad at you, but I feel like if you would have said the other thing, I would have been mad at you still. So you can't win.
No matter what, you would have been mad.
I would have been a little mad, just a little mad. All right, Link Between Worlds versus the original Legend of Zelda.
I know how Link Between Worlds is in terms of like the gameplay stuff like that, but do I like it more? Do I like it more the original Legend of Zelda though? That's the thing. You know what? I do like the Legend of Zelda more.
Oh wow. Okay, now I'm really mad at you. All right. Next up here, Legend of Zelda versus Tears of the Kingdom.
I'm gonna go Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay. Oh, Tears of the Kingdom versus the Wind Waker. These are probably my two favorite Zelda games. Jesus.
Okay. Tears of the Kingdom or the Wind Waker. I love the story and I love a lot of the aspects here for Wind Waker and stuff. But if I really had to choose between the two here, I think replayability wise, I think the Wind Waker probably would have it more with me. At the same time, Tears of the Kingdom is definitely an excellent game. It may not be as good as, say, Breath of the Wild in some aspects, but oh god. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say the Wind Waker is better than Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay. Okay. It's fair. Fair enough. Wind Waker versus Majora's Mask.
You know what? Even though Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time have a battle in between, and it was harder for me to do that, this one is not so much harder.
Okay.
I like Majora's Mask in terms of what it was, but in some aspects, I like the Wind Waker even better. So I'm gonna pick Wind Waker.
All right. Ooh, Daddy. Ocarina of Time versus the Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
This might be it. This might be the last one.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the last one because
Oh.
there's some games that
A
haven't
little.
even got compared with.
Yeah. I don't think you can do all of them. There's those little bars like the tracker. So we're getting close.
Oh
If
God.
anything, there's a couple left.
Pains me to do this, but I will go Ocarina of Time.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Oh, this might be it. Okay. Jesus Christ, this is getting harder. Holy shit. I forgot about Link to the Past. Link to the Past versus Ocarina of Time.
In some aspects, this is quintessentially the same game, only only one's 2D and one's 3D, but you're basically doing the same thing. You're collecting three pendants, and then it evolves into more freaking dungeons for you to do, collecting certain not medallions, but like certain things in order to face Ganon at the end. But the way both of them tackled it was different in terms of the bosses, in terms of the characters, and in terms of like exploration stuff. This is one of those things where had I played Link to the Past first, I probably would say I'd enjoy that more than Ocarina of Time. But because I played Link to the Past years later on the Game Boy Advance, and I loved playing it on the Game Boy Advance, and it's definitely one of the top 10 best games on that platform too. I'm gonna go Ocarina of Time.
Okay. All right. All right.
This is pretty much the final battle here.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time. We have Ocarina of Time versus Breath of the Wild.
Oh. Hmm.
I hope the last one is Phantom Hourglass versus Spirit Trek.
That would end on such a downer.
That'd be honestly that's the best way to go out.
Oh. Both of these are iconic, and both of these games, I did not get that same feeling that I did playing through Ocarina of Time until Breath of the Wild came out. Because until then, it's like, here's the thing. I played Ocarina of Time. Obviously, I replay it like every few years or something like that, still enjoy it. Majora's Mask, I enjoyed that. Wind Waker, obviously, I enjoyed that a little bit, like a little bit more than Majora's Mask and this and that. But I tried playing through complete thing for Twilight Princess, couldn't do it. Tried playing through the complete thing for like Skyward Sword on the Wii, couldn't do it. Tried initially doing like say Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, couldn't do it. What I'm saying is there are definitely those few Zelda games that I have played that I absolutely loved. And I'll tell you what, Breath of the Wild, in my honest opinion, gave me the same feeling back when it released as when I played as a kid Ocarina of Time because it was exploring a vast like a vast like world of like the vast old land of Hyrule, going to different areas, exploring different things, seeing what things happened, helping the Gorons out, helping the Zoras, like saving Hyrule and stuff because of that whole 7 year like cycle and stuff. That whole 7 year like time skip thing, and then all of a sudden saving Hyrule as an adult and stuff. And it's like Breath of the Wild, you're pretty much tossed into things. You don't know much about your backstory, right, until you figure out certain key moments of that game. But yet the exploration's there, the whole like encountering different memorable characters, like say with Cass and stuff, and like with I think Beetle does make an appearance in that game too, for that one too, if I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken.
yeah, he does.
But seeing the different characters that you get to, the different fallen heroes and stuff of like Zelda's like guard and stuff, and seeing how their end kind of like came to mind and stuff, and then
Iwata's in it.
characters like Sidon and stuff, and like characters like, oh god, it's been such a while since I played Breath of the Wild though. I mean, literally since like 2018 or so. Oh god, I can't believe it's been that long now. Um, Ocarina of Time is always going to be a timeless classic to me, but I'm picking Breath of the Wild.
Wow. Okay, I did not. I did. All right. Okay. All right. And that's it. Oh man, I was really hoping for that last battle. All right.
Look where Phantom Hourglass is,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're
and
gonna get.
look where Spirit Tracks is.
God, how the fuck did that happen? Oh man,
I don't know how that happened.
that's weird.
I think it's because I picked Spirit Tracks over Triforce Heroes.
Did you earlier? Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, I think that's what happened
all right.
because in this structure system, I could have went with Triforce Heroes against Spirit Tracks, and then they probably could have been like number 20. But it's exactly what I was thinking. What would happen here? It's like here we have like this is 21 Zelda games.
Yeah, we have 21 here, so we'll get through it here. Starting from the
Okay.
bottom, number 21, Phantom Hourglass.
Yep.
Number 20, Triforce Heroes.
Yep.
Number
Mm,
19, Spirit Tracks. Number
yep.
18, Four Swords Adventures, which is
Yep.
the GameCube version. Number
Yes.
17, Skyward Sword. Number 16, Four Swords, the GBA, or yeah, the GBA version. Number 15, the original Adventure, or no, I'm sorry, Adventures of Link, Zelda 2, rather.
Mhm.
Number 14, Echoes of Wisdom. Number 13, Oracle of Ages. Number 12, Twilight Princess. Number 11, Link's Awakening. Number 10, Oracles of Season. Number 9, The Minish Cap. Number 8, A Link Between Worlds. Number 7, the original Legend of Zelda. Number 6, Tears of the Kingdom. Number 5, Majora's Mask. Number 4, The Wind Waker. Number 3, A Link to the Past. Number 2, Ocarina of Time. And number 1, of course, Breath of the Wild.
Dude, looking at that list, it's really surreal thinking that I actually categorized the entire Zelda games that I've actually played here. But you know what? The top five actually is pretty close to what I would have thought, just like thinking through certain things. But everything else is really kind of a shock to me because it's like Tears of the Kingdom above the original Legend of Zelda.
Mm.
Like Minish Cap being underneath, like say, well, yeah, Link Between Worlds and stuff. I think what's really hilarious is like Skyward Sword is literally like
17.
it's stuck between the different Four Swords
Yeah,
games.
that's incredible. Yeah.
But the Adventure of Link being number 15, even more so say like with Four Swords, Spirit Tracks, like it's definitely one of the more polarizing Zelda games when you think about it from way back when. But at the same time, this is kind of like how I've this overall list is kind of like how I felt as a Zelda fan, to where it's like I did like obviously the stronger Zelda games, like Breath of the Wild, Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past, Wind Waker, Majora's Mask, but yet there are some low lows in some of these Zelda games.
Yeah.
It's like Phantom Hourglass, Triforce Hero, Spirit Tracks, the Four Swords Adventures, Skyward Sword, and then Four Swords version stuff, and then the Adventures of the Adventure of Link. I know I'm doing it. All of those, all of those games. I mean, people will pick and choose which ones are like they want to fight, like on the side that this is a good game or this is a bad game or this or that. But I can honestly say there definitely are some Zelda games that are absolutely fantastic, and then you have the mid-tier Zelda games, and then all of a sudden you have the bottom of the barrel. Not every single one of these Zelda games are equal to one another.
Yeah, definitely.
But what I will say though is like for anybody who's never played a Legend of Zelda game, or those that are wanting to replay certain Zelda games, if you have a Switch, go to Nintendo Switch Online, play whichever like things and stuff for the NES, the SNES, or the 64 app that's available on there. Or even if you do have a Switch, just play through Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, it's the Legend of Zelda series is fantastic for a reason. Is because some of the experiences that you go and when you go through your adventures on there are unlike any other type of game that you can really sink your teeth into. And of course, I got a lot of nostalgic style because my first Zelda game was Ocarina of Time. But even my first game that I've ever played did not surpass the game that I would play years later that gave me the same feel as Ocarina of Time. That's Breath of the Wild. So it's really bizarre seeing a modern game pretty much like just take the top spot.
Yeah. Gables, before we get out of here,
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
one last either or for you for Zelda.
What?
Would you
What?
rather play any of the DS Zelda games or sign up for an American Express card?
Um. Well, you can't really use the American Express card in certain places because they'll outright deny you because of the interest fees. Honestly, I think that's the only time I would actually play the DS games.
That's the correct answer. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for us. If this is coming out as planned, this is supposed to come out like I said, top of the show, the Saturday after Christmas. So indeed the time it came out, that means the week after Gables, we will begin our top 10 games of 2024. So
Oh, sheesh.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We're recording this, a little ways in advance here, but yeah. So just if that is how everything worked out as schedule. That's what's happening. Uh, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys like this. If you guys got some other either wars or some fun things that if you've been a listener, you like, what we like. Let me, send it our way. Let us know. There's some other fun little places out there that do stuff like this. That'd be great because yeah, that'd be awesome. I enjoy doing these. I like making Gables squirm a little bit, so it's fun. Um, but yeah, I was your host. I was Tyler.
I have been Colonel Gables, and thank you very much, everyone, for joining us in this little escapade here. Honestly, I don't. I don't know beforehand whenever Tyler's like, okay, let's do this extra thing, and this is something we're going to do, something special. The first one was the Mario game, and that absolutely tore my hair out.
Mm,
Not all of it, literally,
yeah,
but
just his pubes.
because that's already been well gone, well before then. But as far as this was a fun ride, and I can't wait to see more. I can suspect which one will be next, but I'm going to let that sit and marinate in my mind for the time being. But thank you very much for listening. I have been Colonel Gables.
Bye, guys.
See ya.